Hello, students, and thank you for selecting this Career Day interview. I am excited to introduce you to Ann Rhoads. If you could please let us know what it is that you do.
I am the executive director of the Edmund Niles Hike Preserve in Rensselaerville. Many of you probably just call us the Hike Preserve, which is what we tend to call ourselves. A lot of you, if not all of you, have come to the Hike Preserve to hike or come to our summer education programs or our field trips. So some of you may have already met me. My position requires a graduate degree in a natural science area. And so I have a PhD in forest ecology, and that was important in getting to this position. And I also have background in land conservation work that I began actually in graduate school and then continued when I moved from Rhode Island back to New York State in 2004. So it's a combination of education, training, and work experience that got me here.
Thank you. So if you could walk us through a typical day in your field of work, and yes, let us know, what is it that you do?
My typical day was a mix of office work, meetings with staff and members of the community and the board of directors. So the Hike Preserve is a not-for-profit organization, which means that we have staff, but we also have a board of directors that oversees the entire organization, and they are basically my boss. I'm at the head of the staff, but the board is the head of me. So so office work, meetings, but also time outside. So I spend a fair amount of time walking at the preserve and thinking about our trails, thinking about our natural ecosystems and communities, making sure that everything is healthy, and thinking about how to best protect the resources we have here. As I said, many of the students may know that I also lead the education program. So in a typical year, especially in the spring and the fall, I have field trips come out and I teach those field trips. So it's a really diverse set of tasks that I have.
What do you love most? What's your favorite thing about your job?
I would say there are two favorite aspects. I came into this line of work because I love nature and I wanted to protect the environment in some way. So it's very rewarding to be responsible for protecting these 2,000 acres of land and water, and thinking about how best to protect them moving forward and possibly adding to our property over time. So that's a great aspect of the work that gets me out of bed in the morning. But I also really enjoy the teaching side of things. I really enjoy getting other people, especially kids, excited about nature and environmental stewardship. So I would say those two are my tied favorites.
Yeah, good picks. I like that. So I'm wondering, what would you say are some skills that are needed for this type of job? You know, somebody may have selected this video because they're considering a career in this area. And what would you say is important, whether it be soft skills or those more trainable skills that you had to learn over time, to really be good at this career?
Right. So I would say soft skills would be, the biggest one would be multitasking. The ability to juggle lots of different pieces of the work at one time and keep track of everything. That has been a really valuable skill that has worked well for me here. Communication is really important, both in terms of speaking with the public, verbally speaking with the public, my staff, my board, I guess that translates also into a trainable skill in terms of public speaking and writing. So both of those things have been really important. In terms of other soft skills, I would say critical thinking and problem solving are really important. As the head of the organization, it falls on me to make a lot of big decisions and to think ahead to prevent, certain things from coming down the line. So that's been important. And then, let's see, I would say that, plant identification. I mean, this gets into the nitty gritty, but in terms of other trainable skills, I think I would not have the job I have now and be able to supervise my staff if I didn't know the land well, and I know how to look at the landscape, identify organisms on the landscape, and think about how to take care of them, basically.
No, I think that's a great point, and something someone may not have considered, and probably gave you a leg up to have all of that information. And I think it's pretty cool that here at Greenville we do offer so many agricultural classes where kids might get a taste of that if they're interested. So it's good for kids to hear that. I'm wondering, what are some challenges that you face in your job?
I would say the biggest challenge is probably, we have 4 mission areas. So our mission areas are education, scientific research, conservation, and recreation. And we are a small organization. Relatively speaking, we have a lot of land, but in terms of our budget, we're relatively small. We have only a staff of 5 people total, with some seasonal help, but we're a small organization. So to be able to get all of that important work done with a limited budget and limited staff, that's probably our biggest challenge.
Thank you. And I think that this is a fun question because we have kind of a view right now, but what is your work environment like?
So my work environment is ideal for me, I would say. As I said, I have a combination of office work and on the ground work. And so I can really say that my office is, 2,000 acres of land and buildings. I have my main office is in the Mill House, which is down in the hamlet of Rensselaerville. And, we have a very, I would say, a relaxed office environment. We work really closely as a team. I wear jeans to work and only dress up when I have important meetings with the board or a member. So it's just a relaxed place where we all work as a team to get our work done. But we, last week we went out on a staff hike together. So it's ideal.
Sounds really nice. That's great, especially for someone who loves the outdoors, and I do. So that sounds wonderful, but I'm sure many kids listening to this also are looking for something like that. So my next question would be in terms of salary ranges for various levels in this field. And understandably, we know that this question may be better answered in a general sense. I'm sure it depends on location, but wondering the various salary ranges, as well as whether or not there are advancements, opportunities for advancements in a field such as this.
Right. So what I know is that across the positions available at Land Trust, so the Huyck Preserve is officially a land trust, which is an organization dedicated to land conservation and protection of land in perpetuity, which means forever. Salaries tend to start at about $30,000 and go up as high as $200,000. And the report that I used to learn that information says that the highest paid salaries are on the West Coast. So California, for example, has higher pay for my type of work than New York would. The lowest range of that tends to fall in the Midwest, so Illinois, Ohio area, and New York and the Northeast in general would be sort of in the middle of that range. I found it interesting, Kendall, to see in that report that there is a gender disparity, even within land conservation, which I view as being more immune to those kinds of issues. So women still need to, work to get to that higher level. But there is progress being made.
Well,
so.
and for that reason, I'm so glad that we have you as a woman representing this field for all of our young ladies. So thank you.
Right. And I should say, ladies, that I am not alone. There are, I would say, I meet regularly with other executive directors of land trusts in New York State. And I would say it's close to 50-50 in terms of the number of women executive directors versus men in New York. So it's a very hospitable career path for women. And I would not deter anyone from considering it.
No, thank you. Great point. And I'm wondering too, for our last question, were there any classes that you took while you were in middle school or high school, or even clubs or organizations that you were part of that had lent itself to where you are now in your career?
So I definitely became really interested in science in middle school. And in my hometown, middle school started in 5th grade. And so science in 5th grade is what got me hooked. I remember making a model of Halley's Comet, and that was sort of my first really exciting science project. But then I had incredible science teachers throughout middle school and high school, with 7th and 8th grade also being favorites. I was sort of, my kids laugh at me because I was sort of I was named class pet in my high school yearbook. So I always had a really good relationship with my teachers and used to have lunch with them, especially my science teachers. I loved biology, which is now living environment in high school. I loved chemistry. And I think if I hadn't had those teachers, I wouldn't have landed where I am. And I knew going into college that I was going to major in biology because of those fantastic teachers that I had. But related to what you asked earlier, writing is also really critically important and has been another love of mine for a long time. And my 10th grade English teacher in high school really got me sort of writing well. And then I had another great teacher in 12th grade who taught me how to write argumentative essays really well. So pay attention to your hardworking teachers in science and ELA if you want to do something similar to what I'm doing.
I think that's great advice. And I think you said it well, because I always tell kids to, stay after for extra help, ask those questions.
Yeah.
Really, we want you to talk to teachers and form a relationship, because those conversations are what help you, make a life path and learn and grow. So, you're not a class pet. You took advantage of the opportunity in front of you. And that's really what we want all kids to do. I mean, that's what we love most as educators, is when kids feel that they connect and can learn more just through conversation and not the lesson.
It's so true. And I remember getting my 10th grade biology teacher turned me on to a summer internship program that opened additional doors for me. I remember after I graduated from college, I went back and had lunch with my 8th grade science teacher. He gave me advice about grad school. So those connections are really important. And I had parents who supported me, but I still look to these other adults for advice. And my parents were not scientists, so it was really important to me to have those people in my life.
Well, I think that that's a wonderful note to kind of finish up this career day on. And I thank you for your time. If there was anything else you wanted to add, you certainly could, but we really, truly just appreciate you volunteering your time to this career day.
Anytime. And, reach out to me through Ms. Fritz if anyone wants to talk to me about anything further. We have lots of education opportunities up here, but I'm also just happy to be another voice and another person to come to for advice.